Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Focus. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding guest with us this morning, Alan Wiesman. He's a producer of the In a Nutshell show from Antioch, Illinois. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Doc. How you doing today?
We're very happy that you're taking time from your busy schedule, and you do have a very busy schedule, and we're very fortunate to have you take a few minutes. Not at 5 o'clock this morning. The show is taped, but it will be aired at 5 o'clock on Sunday morning. Matter of fact, this coming Sunday morning. And we want you, first of all, to tell our listening audience about Alan Wiesman.
Well, first of all, it's our pleasure to be here. My wife, Dolores, and myself are more than happy to be here to share a few minutes with you today. I am the producer of the In a Nutshell TV show.
Okay.
Our show actually started on the radio in Round Lake at the WRLR studios.
So you're no stranger, really, to the mic here.
Actually, we were on the radio until last year.
Okay.
And what happened was we had applied over at the U2 to get our show on, and when they accepted us, I couldn't do both. I couldn't work on the radio and also work on the television show. It was too much.
Yeah.
So I had to give up the radio show. But we were on the radio starting in 2010. I started that show. I was retired. I think I must have been getting on Dolores' nerves or something. She said, "Why don't you go to the radio station over there in the next town over and see if they can give you a time period."
Okay.
So I did. I went over there, and sure enough, I got an hour. And for a year and a half, I went over to the studio once a week for my 1 hour show. I prepared for it 4 or 5 days every week. I would just think about it. It's a lot of preparation for a 1 hour show, right. But I was doing retrospectives on musicians and singers from the 50s and the 60s. So we did a lot of like Jim Croce, and all those old timers. Okay. And I was shaking like a leaf. I mean, I'm thinking this has a reach of 250,000 people in Lake County. I mean, I probably have 3 listeners, but But what happened was they offered me the 1 hour, and they asked me what time I wanted to be on the air. And at that time, their schedule was, only had so many programmed shows, and the rest of it was pre-programmed stuff. And I noticed that on Thursday, it was pretty void. So I figured, that's a break. Nobody's going to be listening on Thursday. I'll take that. I'll put my hour at a time when nobody's listening, so I won't embarrass myself and humiliate myself in public. So we went on, and like I said, for the first year and a half, I would tremble, literally, every time I went to the radio station. But after a year and a half, it kind of became, comfortable. You kind of grow into it a little bit. I guess a year and a half might be more of a learning curve than a lot of people, but that's what mine was, And I realized that it's lonely in the broadcast booth. You're there by yourself.
Okay.
Even though it's only an hour, that's a long time to sit there and talk and play music. My wife, Dolores, is a home health nurse.
Okay.
So she's always out visiting. She goes from one house to the next, taking care of people who are injured in accidents, had surgeries, are sick for one reason or another. And she is a wonderful nurse. And so when I told her that I was lonely, she started asking, when she went to somebody's home, the first thing she would say is, "Does anybody in this family sing or play an instrument?" She's such a sweetheart. I mean, I'm not kidding. She's the best. I got the best wife on the planet. Yeah. And little by little, we started getting her patients, their family members, their friends, their relatives would come to the radio station. Talented people. Very, very talented people from the community. And they would perform on our show. We would talk a little bit. They would play their music, and it was really fun. And we wound up, out of all those people, we had so many interesting people. I'm only going to talk about one of them, though.
Okay.
She went to one family, one house, and she said, "Does anybody here, sing or play an instrument?" And the lady said, "Well, actually, my daughter's boyfriend, he was in a band of some kind, ate something." So she says, "Well, can I talk to him?" And she says, "Yeah, you can go talk to him. He's sleeping right across the hallway right now." But he was sleeping. She didn't bother him. But what happened, it developed that he was in 9 Inch Nails in the 90s. This guy was a member of Nine Inch Nails. He came to our show.
Okay.
And he brought her daughter, the lady's daughter with, and he wrote a song for her right on our radio show. It was just like out of this world. We couldn't have asked for anything better than that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then over the years, Herman's Hermits, one of the original founding member and bassist of the Herman's Hermits, Carl Green came to our show from England 4 times. Not just once, for a while. Every time he was in Chicago, he'd call us up. Hey, Dolores, or hey, Al, do you have room for me on your show today? We always have room for Carl Green,
Okay.
We've had Jimmy Sands, who sang Gloria Gloria from the 60s, who also, by the way, his song was admitted to the Rock and Roll, his version of that song. He didn't write that song. It was admitted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just a few months ago.
Okay.
We've had Dennis Stefano from the Buckinghams. We had the members of New Colony 6 on our show. We had so many, these are old rockers from the 60s, but we've had so many talented people. We were very, very fortunate. So, and then at some point in time, Dolores starts filming. I see her, I look up through the glass, of the broadcast booth, and there she is filming away. And after the show, I said, what are you filming? She says, this show's going to be on television one of these days. So I'm practicing now.
Okay.
So she was filming, and then we heard that maybe you could get a show over at the public access facility over at Comcast in Waukegan. Mm-hmm. So we went over there, and sure enough, that we signed up for that, and we took the classes and everything, and she started putting those films on Comcast home public access television. We got a little bit better camera, and she got a little bit better at the videoing, and finally, they had better cameras at Comcast than we could ever have, and she was using their cameras, and it worked out to be very, very nice. Now, this about a year and a half ago, we decided that maybe we could take our show to commercial television. So we called a couple stations, and WCIU said submit a show. So we sent in one of our shows, and they said we like it. They said okay. We made an arrangement to be on the air 2:00 in the morning on Saturday mornings. We sent them a show, and this show is no good. Same show we'd sent them previously. It didn't meet all their hoogie googie stuff that they wanted over there. So Dolores started applying herself to the task of learning all this stuff, and very short time. We had to do some pretty good hoop jumping to get on the air with them, but we did make it through the hoops, and now we've been on the air for a year. We've been on, and our first opening guest, you may not believe this, but our opening guest was the guy who wrote Eye of the Tiger for Survivor when he was in Survivor, Jim Peterick, and wow, it doesn't get much better than that. We went to his home in Burr Ridge. And twice. We went there the first time, and he had a little bit of a sore throat. He had performed the night before it at the City Winery. And so we talked. We did a lot of talking. I prepared for that interview for a year. I mean, It was that important to me. I read his book twice, because he has an autobiography out there. And I did all the research I could, and we went there, and we had so much fun with this guy. He's such a nice guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with Alan Wiesman. He's a producer of the In a Nutshell show. He's from Antioch, Illinois. And as you can listen, he's very highly motivated. And what keeps him motivated is his wife, Dolores, right?
That's absolutely true.
And Dolores, we met her. She's the home nurse. I think she's with my wife there. And boy, she's... my wife got better overnight. And then she was telling us about how both of you are working together. And there's nothing better than a husband and wife working together. This is fantastic. And Dolores, we might tell you that how did you get motivated to work with Alan to produce the show?
Good question. I love doing everything with Alan, so it was easy.
Okay. Well, look, I'd like to know, Alan, what audience are you projecting to meet?
Well,
reach, rather.
The audience, the potential audience for our show right now is 3.5 million people.
Okay.
We have a lot of older.
So it's not just the, let's see, in Lake County you're reaching about 750 to 800,000 people.
Right.
But not just Pontiac.
Yeah, our show is all over northern Illinois,
Okay.
northwest Indiana, and the border areas of Illinois and Wisconsin into Wisconsin.
Wow.
And we're on WCUU, which is 48.1 HD, WCIU, which is 26.2, Comcast 360 and 230 HD.
Anywhere the U2 stations come on.
Right. AT&T U-verse 24, Dish 48, RCN 35, and WOW 170. Wow. So we're on a lot of stations all over northern Illinois and northwest Indiana.
Have you decided the impact your show has had on the area?
I don't know, but I can tell you this: we get a lot of people that say, "I listen to your show."
Okay.
We sometimes get pulled over to the side of the road. People say, "Are you?" Because Dolores used to do this Marge. She made a voice like Marge Simpson.
Okay.
And people love that, when she did that, and they would pull us over to the side of the road and they say, "Are you Al Wiesman?" And I'd say, "Yeah." They look at her and they say, "You must be Marge."
Now, the way they pull you over to the side of the road is because on the side of your car.
That's right. We have a magnet on either side of our car, so people see the magnet. We've also been places where they see our shirt because, everybody out there in Radio Land, if you look at your radio right now, I'm wearing the shirt that says the In a Nutshell TV show. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it should be pretty clear.
Well,
you're used to television, honey.
That's true.
You have your radio face on now, Right. So what are some of the challenges that you face since you've started your show?
Well, there's a lot of challenges. Number one is to do a weekly show that requires a guest. You have to have a guest every week. Okay. And so, we've had over 1,000 people between our radio show and our TV shows. It's probably getting up to close to 1,200 or so.
Okay.
It was 1,000 a year and a half ago. And so we have people out there who help us. We have Maggie Aliotta. Maggie Aliotta, if anybody heard of the song Lakeshore Drive from the early 70s, it was a very popular song. For a couple of years, it was practically the anthem for the city of Chicago by Aliotta Haynes Jeremiah. Mitch Aliotta is her father. So this is Maggie Aliotta. She lives in near Madison, Wisconsin, and she brings us some amazing blues players. We have in the Chicago area, we have Loretta Remington. Loretta Remington is she's a little bit of a singer in her own right, but she's one of these kind of people that everybody knows and likes, And so she's brought several groups to our show. We have a gal in England who sends us music, So musicians. And so, we have people out there that help us. But, of course, mostly I sit down and we have so many Facebook friends who are musicians that if I contact one of them, usually they'll be interested to come on our show, which then requires me to do the research and find out about them and prepare for the show.
Lately, we've had a lot of musicians from different areas contacting us and driving in from Houston and other states, which is kind of neat. Yeah, they tell us they heard about our show. They don't tell us from where, and the next thing you know, their publicist is sending them out to the show to. We
recently, we're contacted by a publicist in Houston, who sent us 2 acts so far. We have these. They
drive out, they fly out,
and they're usually outstanding. Yeah. This one group came up from Atlanta, from Birmingham, Alabama, a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, whoa, they were out of this world. It was a jug band. I don't know if you've ever heard of or seen a jug band.
City Jug Slammers.
And they play, they're like an old-time mountain group. That's what they look like. That's what they talk like. Of course, they don't really sound like that when you talk to them off camera,
Okay.
But that's their act. And they are...
One of the boys plays a wash tub turned upside down with a stick and a string, and it sounds like a bass
Yeah, it's a
guitar.
wash tub bass fiddle, bass... and they are brilliant musicians, and they are really funny, to talk to when they're on the show, and their lines for their songs are excellent. And these are original songs. Every piece of music on our show has to be owned by the performer, unless they get written permission by the writer, rather. Unless they get written permission from whomever it is that owns the music today, they cannot perform it on our show. So all these musicians play original music.
So if there's original musicians out there listening to Dr. Brooks' show today, you can contact us. We'll give you the information in a minute.
Right. Well, why don't we give it now?
Okay.
You can call us, first of all, at 847-894-3108, or...
you know all the addresses.
Okay, you can email us at music@inanutshelltvshow.com.
Or just go to our In a Nutshell TV show page on Facebook, or you can look us up on YouTube, also the In a Nutshell TV show.
And I might suggest that once you get to our YouTube page, that you subscribe, because it's a wonderful page, and whatever you see there now, we're going to be constantly adding things to it. If you go to our YouTube page, you can see Dennis Stefano's interview. You can see when we interviewed Thomas Studi, all these musicians who are so wonderful. We also interviewed Michael Allman, Greg Allman's son. So for a while we were specializing in sons and daughters of famous rockers, and we hit several of them, really.
Okay. Well, tell us about a little more background about on the U2, T-O-O.
That's correct, right?
Yeah, just a little bit about the background.
You mean how we got there, or?
Yeah. How you come with the name?
Oh, that's their name. That's not our name. U2 is their channel,
Our show is the In a Nutshell TV show, and this is their television station that we go to. Weigel Broadcasting owns it.
Okay,
They
I got
own
you.
the U, they own the U2, they own Bounce, they own the History Channel, many stations. This is just one of their many stations.
Wow.
That they own. Yeah, it's pretty fun. We've been pretty blessed.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
All I do is pray.
Well, prayer is answer.
Yep.
On Sunday evening, we went to Jimmy Sands' birthday party. Jimmy Sands from the Shadows of Night.
Who sang Gloria.
Who sang Gloria.
Right?
Okay.
And Dolores videoed the show, and Kate, what's her last name?
Katie Redmond.
Katie Redmond from the Redmond Band comes up to me and says, Dolores has got to be the hardest working woman in the music business, because she's always working behind that camera.
Okay.
And and the Redmonds were in our studio. They're wonderful, and they've seen us around. So,
what about we touched upon it a little bit? I guess funding for your show. Every show you have to have funding. Even my show, my TV show, it's a public asset. But I still have to have sponsors, for a little equipment and supplies.
Well, we've had the good fortune of having Dockers North Restaurant sponsor our show from the beginning.
We can always use sponsors.
Right.
Okay.
And
we make commercials. We make these beautiful commercials for the various, whoever wants to sponsor the show.
Right. So if you're interested in having, if you have a business or a product you'd like to advertise, or a service, give us a call or send us an email, and we'd be more than happy to get together with you to plan a commercial for your product. Our rates are extremely reasonable, and it's a show that gets a lot of attention. And I might want to add that starting October 5th, we're moving from 2:00 in the morning to 6:00 in the morning. Because that was the only complaint that we got the whole first year of our show, was that we were on at 2:00 in the morning, and a lot of people don't stay up that late to watch TV.
So you can DVR.
Many would DVR if they had that ability.
Okay.
But at 6:00 in the morning, when people started hearing that we were going to be on at 6, we got so many letters. Thank you so much. We'll be happy to watch your show at 6. We couldn't watch it at 2.
Right.
So we're anticipating a growth in our viewership at that time.
Fantastic. What is your ultimate goal? for both of you there?
Well, what we'd like to do is eventually get it into a time slot that's closer to, prime time.
Okay.
And I want to say one more thing. I want to thank Oracle Home Health. That's our other sponsor who's been with us since the beginning. Oracle Home Health.
Yeah.
It's a home health nursing company. They send nurses out for people who are sick at home.
Mm-hmm.
And Dolores works for it now.
Okay. Well, Dolores, you may just put a plug in for Oracle. Tell us about a little bit about Oracle and how seniors could benefit from the services that they provide.
Oh, Medicare covers them completely. I can tell you that. You can get physical therapy,
okay,
skilled nursing, occupational therapy, nurses' aides, speech therapy. They provide a lot. It is a nice company, and I work for them. I work for 5 other agencies as well. So, but that's just one that happens to be one of our sponsors. So
now both of you work together because he provide the transportation for you, the driver for
Yes, he does. He drives me to all my jobs.
Visits. And while we're driving around, we plan our show. We talk
right.
about the show, what we're going to do next week or whatever.
We call musicians or publicists or what have you.
We come up with
Work
ideas.
on the computer because we do the closed captioning. We do everything for the show.
Last week, we took a ride to Bay City, Michigan, and interviewed Question Mark from Question Mark and the Mysterians, who wrote the song 96 Tears. I don't know if you remember that song, but that was
1966.
Yeah, and it's included in the 500 most popular rock and roll songs in history.
Of history, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So actually, I was thinking of the training may be required to do the things you do. But actually, you have to be passionate, right?
Definitely.
We are passionate.
Yeah. and you don't have any specific training. I guess it's you.
The School of Hard Knocks, Doc.
Yeah.
God led you to do the things that
yes, you're correct.
Doing, right?
God led for sure.
I
pray about all of it. I pray that doors open, and if they don't open, I say, well, then it's not meant for us. And if they open, I say, thank you, Lord, and we're going to proceed, and through that door. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And basically, our whole experience has been OJT, really, on-the-job training. I learned how to do the broadcast booth. Dolores learned how to do the video.
All about videography, editing, everything, just on School of Hard Knocks and lots of prayer.
And over the course of the years, like I said before, she got better and better cameras, but also we got better and better computers, better and better software.
The software is necessary.
Now she's got the
editing
top software available to do video editing, and that's why the show is as clear and as fine as it is.
Well, that's expensive though too.
It is expensive.
I spoke about funding. And so
there's
forth.
an expense
right.
there.
A lot of
part of the funding
expensive.
comes out of our own pocket.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Sure. It does, really.
Right.
We support the whole show, really, except for the few sponsors we have. Hopefully, more people will continue to be interested.
We're not salespeople.
We're not salespeople at all.
So we can't. We find it very difficult to go out and ask people to pay money for advertising.
Right. We have a person who now she's coming on. She's going to be the marketing person, and that will help us because we don't push people. We know how to talk to musicians. We know how to treat everyone with respect, but we just don't know how to be pushy salespeople.
Right. Laughter is just like a medicine to the soul.
Oh yeah, we laugh a lot on our show.
And that's scripture, and also people that frown all the time and the dried up bones. In other words, you live longer.
Yeah.
Smiling and
sure
and have.
Well, you know what, Doc? I try to bring laughter to my patients as a nurse too, and we do a lot of laughing. And I have some tell me, I can't believe how much you've helped me just by the crazy things you say to me that make me laugh, and sometimes I walk in the door of a patient's house and they start laughing and I'm like, hey, what are you laughing at? I just walk in the door and you're laughing at me. So.
But we do try to have laughter on our show.
We do a lot of laughter on the show.
And also I wanted to mention one more thing. Even though we do have, older rockers from the 60s, we also have young people, all ages.
Plenty.
Right, and we are
Bella Kane's, lead singer,
Judson Brown is the lead singer of a #1 country band from Wisconsin.
And
he's been on our radio show several times, And I mean, we have all ages and all genres of music.
Practically. Well, we don't really do rap though, but we do everything else.
Right.
No house music, no rap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought up about youngsters, because there may be some. You don't give yourself just the middle age and older.
No.
You youngsters that you.
We just had a boy about 23 years old, and we've had an 11-year-old girl in who was fabulous.
We've had some teenage boys that were just phenomenal musicians. Unreal. Riley.
Andre Riley.
Andre Riley plays the guitar, and he now is like 14. He came to our show, maybe he's 15.
Yeah.
When he was 11, and he was like burning the house down with that guitar.
Yeah.
I am not kidding you. The kid's phenomenal. Anybody that looks up AndreRiley.com, I mean, you'll see what I'm talking about. We've had other, young men and young women on our show who are just
children
unreal,
starting out too. Yeah, yeah.
Well, what's the latest thing? We may review again about the stations that you're on.
Okay, we are on
the U2.
The U2, wherever you can find it.
That's right.
But it's going to become the U on September 1st. WCUU 48.1 HD, WCIU 26.2. These are over-the-air broadcasts.
Television, yeah.
The rest of them are all cable. Comcast 360.
Right, that was antenna. Those first two are antenna TV.
360 and 230 HD on Comcast. AT&T UVerse 24. Dish 48, RCN 35, and WOW 170.
And that's at 2 o'clock in the morning right now on Saturday morning. So Friday night, Saturday morning, but soon to be Saturday morning at 6 a.m., starting in October.
So you'll be able to set your alarm, turn on the coffee, go out there, scratch your belly, and have a heck of a fun time watching our show.
Yeah, because it's a good, clean show. There's no dirty language, no any corrupt speaking at all. We always cut that out. If anyone gets naughty or blue, we tell them nothing blue, and once in a while they try it, and we cut it out anyway. So it's really a clean show for the family, which is kind of odd that it's at 2 o'clock in the morning. But if you DVR it, you can watch it. It's very inspirational for musicians, too.
That's the advantage we have. We film our shows usually like Tuesdays or Wednesdays. And then Dolores will we'll edit the heck out of it before we put it on the air. So everything is very, very, healthy for families and children. And it's also very well edited so that it's a fun thing to watch.
So actually, you're radio and TV.
Correct.
Right now we're not on the radio. We might be back on the radio one of these days.
We had our own digital station for a while after we left WRLR.
Yeah, for a year.
But it was too much to program the whole thing. Alan had to program everything, and except Sundays. He gave me Sundays, so I put my Christian programming on then. But then it was too much to do that and get started on commercial television on the U2. So that's UTOO, the U2. It was too much work to do all of that, so Alan had to drop the digital station. It was called WNUT, going along with our In a Nutshell.
Alan
we might open it
Wiesman,
again.
I'm going to let you have the last word to let people know about the In a Nutshell TV show.
The In a Nutshell TV show. If you have an opportunity to watch, I think you're going to enjoy it. We have so much fun. We have so many wonderful guests. If you like music, we have blues, we have rock, we have country, we have so many different genres, bluegrass. And I encourage you to please check us out. We'll be at 2 a.m. on the U2, any U2 channel that you find on any of the different cable companies.
Northern Illinois, Northwest Indiana.
And a little bit of only over the airwaves along the Wisconsin border. So I hope you enjoy our show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you again for listening to another awareness session on Community Focus. We've been listening to Alan and Doris Weiss. Dolores.
And I want to thank you so much for having us on your show.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Very, very, you're a very gracious host.
We talk too much probably, but we love you.
These are the producers for In a Nutshell show from Antioch, Illinois. Thank you again for listening to another awareness session on Community Focus. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.